a Playlyst original.
Welcome to the Pilot Podcast,
where we review the pilot episodes of TV shows to answer your question, should I watch this?
My name is BJ.
And my name is Mitu.
And this week, we're watching The Chair Company on HBO Max, Disney Twisted-Wonderland the Animation on Disney+, Boston Blue on CBS, and The Asset on Netflix.
So stay tuned to the end to find out BJ's favorite conspiracy theory.
Oh, okay. That might take a while to think about. But in the meantime, how about you tell me what's going on in an office workplace?
You're talking about The Chair Company on HBO Max. This comedy thriller follows Ron, played by Tim Robinson, who investigates a far-reaching conspiracy after an embarrassing workplace incident.
So me too, I gotta get ahead of the narrative you might set.
Okay.
You like to tell people my opinion on comedy, but I have to say, this is a very different type of comedy that doesn't always jive with me.
I knew you would not like this, or that this isn't for you, not just because I don't know what you mean by getting ahead of the narrative, but just to, of course, always restate that you don't like laughter, smiling, rainbows, the feeling children get on a holiday if they're receiving gifts.
I love Christmas, actually.
But in this instance, I knew that you would not like this because it's such cringe humor. And for me and the rest of the Tim Robinson hive, those of us who love the show Detroiters, those of us who love I Think You Should Leave, this is so good to me, not only because it is like so deliciously cringy in a way that I could not stop laughing through this first episode, but also because his humor does tap dance on being kind of scary. There are these really strange and weird conceits in Detroiters, and I Think You Should Leave, where you do think, like, this is tap dancing on horror at this point. And so it feels like such a natural progression of his work for this to be an actual comedy thriller.
And I want to add, I see the comedy. There were definitely several funny moments that I enjoyed. And I think what seems to be Tim Robinson's style is to push those funny moments further into the cringe. And that's where I get stressed out, where I'm like, please just let these characters out of this situation. Let them away from this table. Let the host leave them alone. Like, let the office workers stop talking about this incident. It just goes past the point where I'm comfortable, but I see the humor.
What I love, speaking of passing the point of comfort or discomfort, is that in the worlds that he builds, again, and I Think You Should Leave, through those sketches or through the show Detroiters, there's this assumption of a willingness to engage. So to your point, he's having dinner with his family. Shout out to Lake Bell, who plays his wife. And they're congratulating him on being a point person for an incoming mall. And the server is standing there through this whole speech by his wife. And it's so awkward. And you're just trying to will her away. And then they clue her into what's going on. And she's like, oh, I've never been to a mall. And in any other situation, that would possibly be the end of the interaction. But in the world of Tim Robinson, they engage in the most uncomfortable, like, couple-minute exchange where he's like, no, you've been to a mall. And she's like, no, I don't go to malls. And he's like, well, this could be a mall. And she's like, this is a restaurant. And that, to me, was such a classic exchange because it's just this willingness to engage that I don't know that we would actually see in our day-to-day. Like, if someone came up to you and did that, BJ, though you wouldn't be that server standing for way too long at a table anyway, but let's just assume those first things happened. If someone said something that strange to you, you would immediately disengage.
Yes, you brush it off. You say, okay, we see these things differently. Let's move on. And I think what you said is right. It's all about Tim Robinson's style of humor and the character Ron engaging and continuing to engage. And that leads to the premise where there's an incident with a chair and he will find out what that company is doing and why they made that chair.
Even at a personal and professional cost, he will investigate what happens. It's literally in the premise of the show. It's in the name of it. A chair essentially falls apart on him. The scene that you know is coming of him falling out of that chair, it is so funny to me, the discomfort at each step and the fallout from it, literally and metaphorically. I cracked up. There are two exchanges particularly that cracked me up of him and his colleague that was passed over for the promotion that he got, where his colleague wears like a bubble necklace. And then there's another person with the wheelbarrow that feels very strongly about the wheelbarrow. I don't want to spoil too much.
My favorite character.
That comes back around so much. It just made me laugh a lot. It was so good. Even there's like a scary moment in the show, and even that is turned on its head in a very funny way. This one was for me. We can get into the ratings. For me, The Chair Company on HBO Max, I will watch again seriously. For people who enjoy Tim Robinson's humor, who enjoy this cringe humor, and who are open to this natural progression of this then becoming a thriller, and now there's a mystery we all get to solve together, I think you would want to watch this again seriously too.
I unfortunately would not watch again.
Surprise, surprise.
And I do want to recommend it to people to try. If you're not sure if this is your style of humor, give the first episode a shot because there are funny moments, and see if it goes too far for your comfort level. And I will say I'm interested in the mystery behind this chair company because I think they set that up really well, where it's established there's something bigger going on that Ron may uncover.
And I think that'll be really juicy.
You'll have to tell me about it.
I will. Okay. Your favorite reviews are putting me through labor.
On shows you want to watch.
And sometimes otherwise. But why don't you take us from a conspiracy theory to a spooky different realm?
You're talking about Disney Twisted-Wonderland, the animation on Disney Plus. Based on the mobile game franchise, the series follows Yukin Inma, a high school student from Tokyo who is suddenly transported to Night Raven College, an elite academy for budding mages. So, Mitu, what did you think of this Disney-inspired anime?
I was confused to the point where, sitting on my couch out loud to just myself, I said, BJ got this. Like, I just put all my eggs in your basket. I said, this man will guide me through understanding what could possibly be going on. My understanding of this, after some Googling, some time on Reddit, is that this is for the Hive. This is for Twisted-Wonderland Hive. It's an incredibly popular game. The 10 comments I saw on Reddit, people are happy with this. So I think that the reason that I was confused is I did not know any of the lore, and they truly drop you right into the action, which I think is often our critique of shows like this. But in this instance, we may have been dropped a little too deep immediately into the action. I was trying to glean clues from the intro. There's a point where you're looking at a bunch of mirrors, a looking glass. I'm trying to understand what's going on with these students. I was grasping. I felt like I was in water and I'm just reaching for pool noodles and life rafts. I was just trying to put together whatever clues I could.
I felt similarly. So sounds like there are a lot of eggs in my basket.
A lot.
And I think they do assume that you're a fan of the game Twisted-Wonderland. Because like the main character, Yukin, who is a normal high school student, he's also confused when he is brought to this magical world to be enrolled in this school. In fact, he's so confused, he says no and tries to walk away.
Now that I liked.
You supported that decision?
I think sometimes in these shows where someone is dropped into a new reality, they accept it too quickly. Okay, I guess this is just what it is. I go to magic school. Everyone's in a creepy hood. There's mirrors everywhere. There's floating coffins. It is what it is. Whereas he at the end says a line that cracked me up where he was like, oh, maybe this isn't a dream. Like, he is still not even sure he's not asleep.
It's so strange to go from walking on the street in Tokyo to this hall of hooded robed people, floating mirrors, magical fire. You would think you're dreaming. And I think one of the issues for me, or I think a way they set up the expectations poorly for new viewers, it's titled Disney. It's said this is a Disney-inspired world. The opening shows classic Disney villains, but the show itself does not feel very Disney, unlike the video game series Kingdom Hearts, which is also a Disney crossover, where we clearly see Disney characters mixing with the original characters.
That's what this felt like. Kingdom Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
True. Yeah. Where there's maybe a little bit more understanding there.
Yeah, you see these original characters with Mickey Mouse and Goofy and Donald Duck. Here, we meet someone who I believe is inspired or is this world's version of the Red Queen.
Sure.
From Alice in Wonderland, maybe. Or the Queen of Hearts. I get those two mixed up.
Your guess is as good as mine, but better.
Well, I will say as a positive, despite our confusion, I thought it was fun. The magic was fun. We see a creature that can use magic, and we see someone cast a spell, which seems to be named after famous Disney villain lines, like off with your head, and that is a magic spell.
Very cute. I also thought maybe there's a little love interest happening.
Something was going on.
Something. So with that, will you watch more episodes of Disney Twisted-Wonderland, the animation on Disney Plus? What a name.
Good branding.
Yeah. They said, you're going to know who did this. It's like that meme. I'm trying to remember if it was Marc Jacobs. It was like Jacobs by Marc Jacobs. It was a tag on a coat.
Oh.
Jacobs by Marc Jacobs, for Marc Jacobs, designed by Marc Jacobs. Like, that's what this title feels like.
In the 2025 Marc Jacobs collection.
Exactly.
I would watch again while eating lunch.
Okay.
I do want to see more of the Disney aspect, and the magical college part is intriguing. And I feel like this is a show I got to give it another episode since I'm new to the Twisted-Wonderland world. How do you feel?
For Twisted-Wonderland Hive, y'all got it. I recommend this seriously to you. I think it was fun. I just genuinely did not know anything that was happening. Each scene was a new adventure for me where I was like, okay, let's see how this turns out. That's so fun. And at certain points, it was scary. Like, I genuinely had a couple jump scares in this. For those reasons, I personally would not watch again. I don't think this is the way to bring in new fans. I think you do that through the game, which is extremely popular, so I assume very fun.
Fair enough. So how about we go from the world of Disney and magic to a world of detectives?
You're talking about Boston Blue on CBS. A spinoff of Blue Bloods, this show, executive produced by Donnie Wahlberg, focuses on his character, Danny Reagan, who takes a position with the Boston Police Department after an incident with his little brother. He's paired with partner/detective Lena, played by Sonequa Martin Green, of Star Trek Discovery fame.
Ooh. So I will say, I think this is an interesting twist. Very small twist, but twists on a detective procedural on a major network. I like that Lena's family are all in the business. How did you feel about uncovering all those familial connections?
I think if we hadn't just seen another procedural with the same concept, 911 Nashville, where it turned out in the end, everyone was everybody's cousin, distant father, strained relationship.
Like surprise children, yeah.
Everybody had some kind of relationship with everybody. So I think because I was already primed for that, and I believe the concept of Blue Bloods is that they are all blood or similarly related, and they're
Mm-hmm.
all working around the NYPD. So I assumed the same would happen for this. So it was less of a twist for me and more just a solid entry generally in this genre of police procedural, which is like kind of all the cousins and everybody's in on it together. I did enjoy seeing as Lena's sister Maggie Lawson,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked seeing surprise Marcus Scribner as their younger brother. I like both of those actors a lot.
I think they did well. I think everyone in the Silver family played off of each other really well. And I liked how kind of naturally Danny and Lena came together to form this team. It was very obvious when they finally were like, oh, you're NYPD. I'm Boston Police. We both have brothers who are friends. Now we'll work together. It's kind of corny when I say it like that, but it worked.
It was nice. And I like that he's going to loosen her up, which is a classic also buddy cop type of dynamic. He's going to show her the runaround ways to do things to get around the rules and regulations because her mom
Mm-hmm.
is the DA, her sister, again, is a superintendent, versus her showing him how to go about things a bit more smartly. Like he was really impressed with some of the research she was doing, some of the ways that
Mm-hmm.
she was narrowing suspects, this usage of a possibly biased AI system.
Yeah.
So I think they're also going to balance each other well. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought there was some really fun classic procedural lines. Like the victim in this episode dies at her desk. And so Lena walks in and she goes, died at her desk. Hope she loved her job. And it just cracked me up. I was just like, wow, CBS, do you know how to miss? No.
I mean, this is CBS's moneymaker. They know how to make a procedural. They know how to keep spinning them off, apparently. And I think while nothing is particularly original, I do like the familial twist. It is just like a solid procedural. The
Yeah.
case was interesting. There was a twist, but also Lena and Danny both were like, well, our first guess was too obvious. So it was a twist that we all saw coming.
But I would say that the formula works and there's a Fafillian show centered around it because
Mm-hmm.
the formula works. I also saw that the reviews generally for this show are positive and
Okay.
they align with what we're saying. This is a solid police procedural. I did see in the Google reviews and sort of online reviews that people were trying to review trash it by calling it too
Ooh.
DEI. And to that I say, where? What does that mean?
Is it Sarah or is it the other Silvers?
I don't know. People said this is too DEI. And honestly, when I start to read stuff like that, I do just close the browser. So
Smart. Don't
unfortunately,
engage.
that's the extent of my journalistic investigation. So as we head into reviews for Boston Blue on CBS, what I would say is this is entertaining. If you're
Mm-hmm.
searching for a police procedural, this is a really solid entry in that. And as BJ said, the mystery is compelling. For me, I'm not really a police procedural person, but I do love Sonequa Martin Green. So I'll probably give this a couple more episodes. If you're
Mm-hmm.
not a police procedural person, this one is not for you because it's just such a solid entry in it. I don't think that there's like a really different thing that might bring you in. But I would say to just sort of ignore the negative like Google reviews and things because they seem to be rooted in a distaste for the makeup of the cast, perhaps.
That's fair. I think that's a good recommendation. I would watch again casually. I think if you like these types of police detective shows, this is another solid entry with a good cast. I like the family aspect, and I think that's going to keep things interesting because we will have not only the work dynamics, but the personal dynamics that are going to start blurring together. They already do in the pilot. And like you said, if you know you don't like this genre of show, this is not the one that's going to convince you. But if you do know you like this genre, hey, this could be added to your rotation.
And you know my favorite weird ones in this. I like a police procedural only when there's a weirdo at the helm. Elsbeth,
I know.
Psych, Monk. I need like a
High
funky
potential.
person. High potential. Ooh, that show is so good, and it's only gotten better.
I know. You need a quirk.
I need a quirky person solving the crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of solving crimes, why don't you give us an international twist on that?
You're talking about The Asset on Netflix. This is a show from Denmark where a washed-up police cadet, Thea Lind, played by Clara Dessau, gets one last chance at joining the force. She throws everything away she has into a risky undercover operation. So, Mitu, what did you think of this twist on a police show?
Washed up is wild. Was that in the online description somewhere?
Yeah.
My goodness. She just had a bad day.
Well, she had a rough childhood as well.
Yeah, washed up is a bit tough on her, but we can get into Thea, who now I feel very compelled to defend.
I'm not trying to criticize her. I'm reading what the creators said about her.
Interesting, because I see you chose not to edit or omit the words, but yes, she's having a tough time, we'll say.
Mm-hmm.
She is a young agent. She wants to prove herself, but this tough childhood that she had is continuing to catch up with her. It does naturally make you want to root for her. I think in the same way that Boston Blue was like a classic police procedural, for me, The Asset felt like such a solid spy thriller where the only annoying part to me was that I watched it with an English dub, which is on me, and the English subtitles did not match the dub.
Yeah,
Beyond that, this was just such a straightforward, solid spy story with a lead that you really want to root for. And Clara Dessau just did a fantastic job portraying the character.
I agree. I like this spy thriller-esque genre. I think Thea is an interesting character. She does have a rough background, which plays into why she was selected for this particular mission. I like seeing kind of the struggles she's going through, her interactions with her mother, and then just how capable she is. Her superior, when picking different candidates, highlights that she is smart, she is capable. Maybe she's not as good at martial arts as someone else, but she is adaptable. And we see her quickly picking up on things. Like every test they give her, she passes.
She's really observant. She has that classic scene, which we've seen in so many spy shows and movies, where she's asked to observe what's happening in the room. And she's like, you know, the person at 3:00 is wearing this color shirt. These two people are experiencing this emotion. I've had this in-depth description of why they're doing that. And those scenes are always so funny to me because if you paid me to tell you what I wore yesterday, I could not do that. Like I would lose that money. And you know, these people are like, the person at the door, blue checkered shirt, he's looking down and to the right, which means he might be being dishonest to the person he's talking to. I just think that stuff is so fun. And it was such a great scene to display her emotional intelligence, like whatever she's lacking from martial arts, she makes up for with that. And as you know, my favorite stories are stories that focus on female friendship. Like I think friendship generally, and especially female friendship, is just a topic I want to see explored all the time. In humor, in spy thrillers, in anything, in any capacity. I just think it's so interesting. And so watching her outsmart everyone else and how to open up that conversation with her target was already so compelling.
Yes, she has that it factor for being a spy.
Yeah.
And it becomes more and more obvious. And we don't know too much about this like shady business person that she's going after, Miran, played by Afshin Farazi. But we know that people around him are going to be useful and that Thea already has a plan. and maybe has a better plan than the people that hired her, which I
Yes.
think is a fun twist to see that not only is she good at this, but maybe she's a little better than we're led to believe.
And let me tell you 2 juicy things I see happening.
Okay.
One, the person that she gets close to, that's going to get very complicated. I think it's going to affect her ability to do her job because she's going to want to save that person. And I wonder if she'll even see signs of her own upbringing in this person. She'll want to rescue them out, just like how she rescued herself out of her situation. The other thing I see coming, she has some chemistry with her handler, and I think that's going to get complicated.
Oh.
I think they had a spark.
I saw it too. Yasin, played by Sohail Bobby. There was a little tension, but then a little bit after that, we saw, okay, maybe this is like friendly tension. And then when they were alone together in the safe house, I was like, well, now where is this going next?
Exactly. So I think there's 2 really interesting ways that she'll be compromised. One with her target, like wanting the best for that person. And naturally, if you have a target, you have to assume what I have learned from many of these spy movies and shows that you might have to like basically throw that person under the bus to get what you want.
Yes.
And I think she will be very hesitant and reluctant to do that.
Gotta focus on the mission.
And you need a distant but effective relationship with your handler, and they're going to get too close.
Everyone needs to focus on the mission.
And there's going to be moments where people are really going to lose focus. And I think that's going to get so juicy. So for the asset on Netflix, I will be watching again seriously. The only adjustment that I'll make is I'll go back to the original language, because I think for most of these things, you should watch them in the original language. I was just feeling a bit lazy, tried to do the dub, and I don't think it did the show justice. And I could tell the portrayals are so good that you really, I think, get the fuller experience, of course, when you hear people speaking themselves versus having a dub over it.
I can see that. I would watch again, seriously. I really enjoyed the spy element and the story that they've set up for this operation. I also watched the English dub with the English subtitles, which I guess the subtitles are a direct translation of the original audio, and the English dub is more of a massaging of that translation. I will probably stick with the English dub for simplicity.
Fair.
It worked, it still got me engaged in the show. So it's nice to have options.
It's a compelling story.
So you wanted to know my favorite conspiracy theory?
Yes.
My favorite conspiracy theory is that Me Too,
Whoa.
the co-host of this podcast.
I knew my name would come up, and it was just a matter of how. How will he connect me with faking the moon landing or whatever? How will he do that? So go ahead.
I just have a conspiracy theory that I've maybe heard from other people, that you own a submarine somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. And sometimes when ships disappear, sometimes people see your submarine nearby.
Oh, it's like the Loch Ness Monster.
Like Bermuda Triangle, Loch Ness Monster, is Me Too stealing ships?
Okay. I think if
Conspiracy.
I had access to a submarine or a ship, I would certainly be podcasting you from that place.
Well, how would you have internet there?
I don't know. I feel like if I have that kind of money, there has to be a setup. Did you see that group of British men who rode from, I think, New York to London to raise money for charity? And they had a satellite internet setup. And so they posted on Instagram every day from the row.
No.
Yeah. So I'd have some technology like that.
Oh, you do? So you
I would.
do have...
I don't... You caught me.
Heard it here first.
All right. Well, where can people find conspiracy-free episodes of the Pilot Podcast.
Head to our website at thepilotpodcast.com, and you can follow us on all of your favorite podcast platforms.
You can also follow us on social media at The Pilot Pod, and you can send thoughts, feelings, show recommendations, because every other week we do a show recommended by you, our wonderful listeners, to askthepilotpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye.